The last thing the internet needs right now is another guy talking about tariffs. But the topic has completely consumed my X feed the last 2 weeks. And while I understand the arguments for and against them, I definitely think both sides got it absolutely wrong. And some of the takes that I've seen on X are horrendous. So the arguments are missing what I see as the central point of administering the tariffs, which I'll discuss in this very short video. And in it, I'll go over both sides from my perspective as a retail investor and independent American voter here on the KPOD network. Welcome, everybody. Joe here for the KPOD network. Usually I'm over on Dead Cat Crypto. That's my channel. I'm here on Scott and Bella's channel as part of a collaboration where we bring you crypto and Web3 and technology and investing the way we see it. And we see it as a way for the regular people to make out as if they weren't regular people, helping you make decisions based on fact and not FUD, and definitely not hype. The topic of tariffs. This is a fun one. There are two sides to it, right? There are people who hate the tariffs and they'll let you know it. And then there are people that love tariffs and they'll let you know it. And this is basically my X feed, which I absolutely hate. I should have been muting this from the beginning. But let's start with the opposition to Trump's tariffs, which are, the Democrat politicians and their bought and paid for media counterparts. The Democrats have this completely wrong from the start, and it's mainly because they will just blindly attack anything Trump tries to do because they hate him and they hate his agenda. And look, maybe that's what the opposition party is supposed to do when they're not in charge. But their original argument against tariffs was that tariffs are a tax, therefore they are bad. Okay? The current argument is that Trump orchestrated insider trading around the volatility due to his announcement of tariffs. And I'm going to start with the tariffs are a tax. First of all, the Democrats are the party of high taxes. They love taxes, and they see it as a tax because theoretically, if we're importing something for $1 and now it costs $2, well, usually that cost would get passed on to the customer, and now the customer is going to pay $1 more. But that is not what happens in practice. If, let's say, a 50% tariff gets slapped on a product coming from a specific country, that does not mean the price goes up 50%. Anyone who thinks that or argues that, it is complete, utter nonsense. What does happen? Well, if America is putting a tariff on, let's say, a specific brand of car from Japan, which, by the way, was implemented in the 1990s when the Democrats were in charge, and they absolutely loved tariffs. Well, if I put a 50% tariff on this car, what happens? People buy less, right? So the country who's exporting this car, they produce less, or they must lower their prices, meaning their margin has to take a hit. So a 50% tariff is either going to result in less production, less manufacturing from that country, or they're going to have to lower the price, possibly lower it substantially in an effort to sell more units of that car. So while their margin might take a hit in percentage points, they might try to sell more units at a cheaper price to keep the margin dollars, the actual margin, the same or even higher. And that is up to the company producing the car. From the American consumer point of view, if let's say a Toyota is now 50% more expensive, you're going to go over here and you're going to say, well, I was looking at this car made in Japan and this similar car made in Korea, or maybe even made in the United States. I think that this is too expensive. I'm going to buy this car over here. And now you're taking your business elsewhere because you are disincentivized, let's say, to buy the car that now has the tariff on it. So it's possible that a 50% tariff on a specific product only results in a small increase in price, and then of course the consumer always has the option simply not to buy it. Let's go to the insider trading argument, which is definitely part of a script that politicians on social media are rolling out. And of course, the idiotic, low information voters just eat this up because they don't have to think. They just repeat the words: insider trading, billionaires getting rich, regular people getting liquidated of their savings and losing their retirement accounts, which is absolutely not even close to what happened. Were there politicians trading different stocks around the time that the volatility was happening? Yes, and you could see that very clearly. Although I don't think you could see it in real time. You could see that politicians on both sides have been trading the markets over the last couple of weeks. Notably, I would say Marjorie Taylor Greene probably put in the most trades. It was like April 3rd, April 4th, April 5th, around there. That's when volatility was quite high. But let me tell you why market volatility is good for someone like me, who's just a regular middle-class person investing in a retirement account. Which, by the way, if I'm buying stocks or mutual funds or ETFs as a retirement investment, that is not my savings account. If you are holding stocks and you consider that to be your savings account, maybe you need to talk to a financial advisor, talk about risk assessment, talk about actually setting up a savings account, because that is a bad idea to hold your quote unquote savings in super volatile assets like stocks compared to dollars or CDs or something like that. I would not consider stocks to be a savings account. But let's put that aside. We're talking about volatility. Well, most people that invest, regular middle-class people that invest in their retirement accounts, they're basically blindly putting in a percentage of their gross pay every 2 weeks into an index fund, which is a total market fund. It's weighted usually for you'll have a higher percentage of big companies and a smaller percentage of small companies. And usually these funds hold several hundred, maybe 1,000 or 2,000 different companies. You get like the market average for whatever that index is tracking. Now, if you think the stock market only goes up, which it doesn't, there are pullbacks all the time. There was one in 2022, there was one in 2020. Pullbacks happen all the time, and that does two things. It resets the valuation of some companies that may have been overvalued at the time. They usually pull back more than the overall market pullback. And it also prevents people like me from continuously buying stocks when they are at the most expensive valuations. I don't want to buy the stock market if it's only going up. I should be able to buy stocks when there's a pullback, because now I'm not only buying the top. I'm not exit liquidity for a more savvy day trader investor type person. I'm getting like the average. If I'm investing every 2 weeks blindly, I'm getting like the average price over the year, taking into account the up and down volatility. Over time, do I want the stocks to go up? Yes, but a retirement account, at what the talking heads on X refer to as savings accounts, which is not a savings account, I want it to go up. But you measure the stock market in years, decades, and lifetimes, not day-to-day price changes. Some companies are probably still overvalued. If you zoom out and look at a chart of overall stock performance like the SPY, you're going to see that this volatility was really insignificant in the grand scheme of things. It's basically a fart in the wind. If this volatility shook you out of the stock market, you should not be buying and holding stocks. Now let's look at the other side, the MAGA people, the Republicans who are supporting Trump. They love this. They love the tariffs, but I think they love the tariffs for the wrong reason. I think they love the tariffs because they see them as punitive. I think a lot of people elected Trump because they want some form of revenge on who they see as political enemies, the globalists, the Democrats, whoever that might be. Now, they're happy that the other side is freaking out over these tariffs. I've had friends who have told me, Joe, I don't care if eggs cost $50. I want to see politicians go to jail. And again, there's like that revenge, that vengeance, that justice mentality there. Here's the problem if you blindly support tariffs. If everything gets tariffed and these tariffs are permanent, then yes, prices are going to go up because American companies, who are basically the alternative, they can now raise their prices because there's no competition. These tariffs, if used over long periods of time and not just used strategically, selectively, I don't think they're going to do the job. Trump has said repeatedly he sees tariffs as a way of revenue rather than internal revenue, taxing citizens on their labor and transactions. He sees this as an alternative. The country can generate revenue by applying tariffs. Um, that means it'll be more expensive for countries who have way cheaper labor than us to sell here in the United States. Well, tariffs for the sake of tariffs are not good at all. I do not support this whatsoever, but I see them as strategic and I see them as leverage. I see them as leveraging the United States economic strength. And what is that? The United States is the world's consumer. We buy everything. We are the world's customer. And if you want to do business in the United States and you have tariffs on our products that are getting shipped to your country, something needs to be done to level the playing field here. We can't just be expected to buy all of these products from overseas just because they're cheap, and then we let our own manufacturing and production die out here in the United States. So I don't mind tariffs being used strategically in the short term in order to rework trade deals. We are the customer, and the customer is always right. If you're a country that wants to do business in the United States, you want to sell your junk here so that Amazon trucks can drop it off on everyone's doorstep, a bunch of crap that they don't need, then you need to pay for the privilege of dealing with the United States, the number one customer in the world. And if your government has tariffs on the United States exports, I have a feeling that those are going to go away. And if Team Trump is as strategic as they claim to be, and this is not complete chaos, which it definitely could be, then I see lots of tariff-free trading on the horizon in the next 6 months to a year. I don't see tariffs as a permanent solution or a permanent revenue source, although selectively, maybe that will be the case going forward. But yeah, both sides got it wrong. I think they just want to hurt each other. They don't care about tariffs either way. Why do you hate Trump? Let him try the tariffs. And if you're on Trump's side, don't just be happy that these tariffs are here and they're pissing off the Democrats and the media. Make sure that these have an actual purpose. Otherwise, in the long run, they're going to be terrible for everyone. Take it easy. I know